everybody. Welcome. Yes, I'm freezing. That's why I have my coat on. It's horrible outside. Today I'm going to talk to you about um, cancer lifestyle changes and from the good to the crazy. But I have a sponsor for my live streams and my podcasts, etc. So I'm going to play you a little video from my sponsor because that's what I have to do. And you're so give me 2 seconds, I'll play that and I'll be back in 2 seconds. Here's
The
Carla.
biggest problem with insurance is that people don't actually understand how it works, not only how they can protect themselves but their children as well. If you would like to learn more about how you can do this, from life insurance, critical illness cover, income protection and children's cover, then please get in touch today. I'm Carla Edwards from The Protection Parent, and please let me help you protect what matters most.
Thank you, Carla, and thank you for sponsoring me. It's amazing. It's very cool. Obviously, somebody likes listening to my shit. Right, so today we're going to talk about cancer lifestyle changes and my experience of them. It's not a lecture, it's just a few of the weird and wonderful things I've heard along the way. So my first thing I'm going to talk about is diet. People ask me, oh my God, you look great. You don't look like you've got cancer. What do you eat? Well, truth be told, I bloody eat everything. So I eat red meat, I eat sugar, I eat a lot. All the things that you might read about oh, you should try this, that, and the other. Well, I haven't changed anything. Well, I haven't taken anything out of my diet except alcohol. So I stopped drinking, but that wasn't because of cancer necessarily. What it was because of was a side effect that I was getting from the chemo, which was extreme nosebleeds. Because I have thin blood and I also take a blood thinner on top of that. So it's like super thin. And what I was noticing is every time I was getting shit faced, which was a lot for the first couple of years of chemo. You're not supposed to do that, by the way, but I'm a bit of a rebel. And I was getting hammered to the point that I climbed on a horse statue in the centre of Bristol one night. There's actual photo evidence of that. But every time I was getting really drunk, my nose was like running blood quite a lot. And every time my heart rate, like if I ran, if my heart rate went up really quickly, my nose would bleed. And it sort of came to a head when I got a business. I got a job out in Malaysia, and I got a business class flight, and that never happens to people like me. So I was living the dream, loads of free booze. So I was like, yeah, get it down, living the dream. I literally drank the entire flight and in the lounge before then, and I made the most of it. But God, I had the mother of all hangovers for a week and a horrendous nosebleed. And I thought, I've probably got to rein this in. Let me see if maybe by cutting out the drink, which thins your blood, if I can control these nosebleeds. So I stopped drinking then and there, and I've never looked back. And the nosebleeds did massively subside. I still get them, but they're nothing like they were before. And the other part of it was that, I was getting quite into my exercise, and having the stonking hangovers was not really helping me. And I also got that horrendous like feeling of guilt that I'd done something wrong. And I was constantly thinking, oh God, who have I offended and what have I done? And so it was a great side effect, but it's not necessarily because of having cancer. It was because of that side effect. So I cut out the alcohol. And in terms of diet, like I say, I carried on eating. I eat loads of chocolate, like ridiculous amounts of chocolate, because I love it. And yes, if you listen to every piece of advice you were given, like you can't eat bacon sandwiches, you shouldn't eat red meat, you shouldn't have sugar, you shouldn't drink, you shouldn't have caffeine. You by the end of it, what's the point of being alive? Because you're just eating grass for the rest of your life, however long that be. And that would be really sad for me. And that's the way I looked at it. And I thought, well, there are certain things that I can change and I'm happy to change, but there are deal breakers for me. And chocolate and steaks are one of them. And I will freely admit that. And if anybody sat there go, oh, well, that's not very good and she shouldn't have done that. Well, I'd like to tell you that I've massively exceeded my prognosis. So it hasn't gone wrong for me so far. So that's what I would say to that. So what I have done, though, other than that, is exercise. Now, and when I used to think about exercise, and I've always been pretty active anyway, but basically the thought of going for runs every day, I'd like to be one of those people that enjoys it, but I can hand on heart say that it's my idea of hell after cancer and grief. It's my idea of hell. I hate it. I've never liked it. It's shit. Um, so I thought, well, I've got to find something that I like doing because otherwise I'm not going to stick to it. I've got a horse, so I do a lot of horse riding, which is great. It's good core and stuff like that. I've got a paddleboard. I do a lot of paddleboarding. I live right next to the water, so that's great. But I needed to do more, so I thought, well, what looks easy and enjoyable? Yoga, but it's not easy. It's actually pretty blooming hard. But it's amazing and I love it, and that's why I keep going. Whereas with running and stuff, I'd never do it. I also walk a lot, and I believe that walking is probably the new running, because I didn't get that. I really don't want to do it. I feel sick. I'm dreading it all day. I'm dreading going to the gym to run on a treadmill. I'm dreading this. Well, I actually like walking because I can still talk and I can still enjoy what's around me. Whereas if I'm running, I'll just be thinking, please, dear God, when is this going to be over? I hate every second of it. But there'll be people out there watching this who will be saying, oh, I love running. That's brilliant. I'm glad you do, because if you love it, you'll stick to it. But there's so many of us when we get into exercise for the first time that we think what we're supposed to do is we're supposed to run or we're supposed to cycle for miles on end. It's not about that. It's about finding something that you enjoy, be it playing netball a few times a week or whatever it is. As long as it's something you like, you'll stick to it. And that's really helped me. So exercise has been a real key player for me. And I exercised through, and I have chemo every week. I had chemo on Monday this week. I go straight to the gym pretty much as soon as I get back, and I ride my horse before I go for chemo. So like I'm very, very active, but I've upped that massively since having cancer. But what I would say here is drawing the line at crazy. Obviously, it's fairly obvious where I sit on the whole scale of all these things that you get told that you shouldn't be doing. But the amount of things I get in my inbox, particularly in the beginning, about, oh, this is what you should do, Heidi, you should. And several people said to me, you should go sugar free, dairy free, free from everything, which is, could be good advice. But to enable for that to all work, you also need to go chemo free. So what they're saying is basically you need to do all these healthy things, but you shouldn't. But if you have chemo, that'll stop those healthy things from working. So you've got to choose one or the other. Now that for me is extremely dangerous advice to give to somebody. Luckily for me, I'm not easily persuaded, and I've got quite a few friends that work in the NHS. I have a friend that is a cancer scientist, and I wholeheartedly attribute my amazing health to science, research, and medicine. But that's not to say things can't be complementary alongside of that. But one should not be in place of the other. And I think that's very dangerous. But there is so much out there about that. Now, I will, say that I've tried cannabis oil and things like that. And I think that's fine. It's natural. There's nothing wrong with that. It made me sick as a dog. But that's fine. But I would never say you should do that, but get rid of the other thing. But there's a lot of school of thought out there about the fact that you can't have both. And that's where I think you've got to draw the line at crazy. I've been told I should have coffee up my arsehole, a coffee enema to cleanse myself, not have chemo, but shove Kenko straight up my backside. Now, if that's worked for you, that's brilliant. Whatever works for you, that's absolutely wonderful. But I can't imagine pouring a Costa up my arse every day. And I just do not understand where this sort of stuff comes from. The other thing is to eat apricot kernels in huge quantities, which I actually think contain poison. So I'm not really sure that's a good one either. Eating dandelions, but from the root, ideally in a field. So you get down on your hands and knees and you munch along like a grazing cow. God, I've had it all. Turmeric's one that gets bandied about a lot. It's great. and I do have turmeric in my food, but I certainly don't have it instead of chemotherapy. I have it alongside of that. So I'm a huge advocate for complementary things, about treating the whole person. So exercise is great, diet is great, medicine is absolutely fantastic, but you don't have to get rid of one to have the other. And obviously, when I was having really aggressive chemotherapy, the thought of going and doing yoga when I was borderline going to poo myself, it was never going to happen. So instead, I could walk around the house within touching distance of the bathroom, and get my step count up. And that's an achievement. If you've gone from nothing to doing that, that is an achievement. So it's all about managing what you can do in the situation that you're in. But exercise is a big one. I really do believe that. I mean, it's worked for me. And how would you respond to, we'll call it well-meant advice, because I've had very few messages of people. I had a couple of people that tell me that I was irresponsible and a terrible mother for having chemotherapy and not eating dandelions, apricot kernels, and shoving coffee up my arse. I've had people say that to me, and it's like, how do you deal with that? And people say to me all the time, how do you deal with things like that? And I think, well, there's a few responses. Okay, so what I usually do, if someone messages me on my blog and suggests something I've heard a million times, and I think, oh, it's really nice of them to have taken the time, and that's where I look at it, that they've read an article in some unrecognizable website that suggests that you can cure yourself by rubbing God knows what on your bloody back or something. And I just say, that's really kind of you. I'll look into that. Thank you. So that's one of the responses. And then you delete it and you forget about it. If it's somebody who's like, well, you should be doing this and you should be doing this, and this suggests this, thank you very much. Can you send me the link to the evidential research that has been in controlled environment, i.e. in a lab? That would be brilliant if you can send me that evidence. Thank you very much. If someone's ranting on and you, well, you have to do this and you have to do that and you have to do this and you have to do that, the other thing you can say is that what you did when you had cancer? And they're either going to answer yes, and then you can dig deeper, because you can bet your bottom dollar that there will have been some kind of medical intervention along that process at some point, or they've never had cancer, therefore they've got no idea what it's like to be in that situation. And then, so whichever way, you're going to win. And failing that, you just use the classic fuck off, which is what I would do if someone was going on and on and on at me. So that's the way I would deal with it. So they're the crazy things out there about what you shouldn't be doing, and the things that I have and haven't done. And like I've said before in previous posts, that I believe in control. And if you really genuinely feel that by doing the coffee bum whole thing, the eating the grass or whatever, if you 100% believe that that's what's right for you, then yeah, give it a go. And why not? Because I wouldn't do it the other way around. I wholeheartedly believe that chemotherapy is the right thing for me, and I wouldn't not have it. So and it has worked for me. I believe there's a few other things around the outside that have definitely helped, but the main thing is medicine. So yeah, that's kind of my stance on it, really. So yes, well-meant advice. So thank you for listening. Keep the questions coming in. I'm loving them. They're brilliant. And you're giving me more and more topics to talk about, which is great. This is all on a podcast. If you want to listen to it again, I don't know why you would, but if you want to, it's there. And it's YouTube and all that malarkey as well. So thank you very much, guys. And I will speak to you soon. Bye.